Almost 30 years after Tupac Shakur was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, the police have finally made an arrest in the case. In recent months, they found new evidence in the unsolved case after searching a house in Las Vegas on July 17th. This evidence was then shown to a jury, and on September 28th, they decided to formally charge the last man standing with a crime related to Tupac's death. From Orlando Anderson to Terrence Bubble Up Brown, this video will look at all what happened to Tupac's killers. Keefe D. Not much was known about Keefe D before the incident that took Tupac's life. In fact, we can argue that he was nobody until he started running his mouth in the 2000s. All the self-snitching finally paid off for him on September 28, 2023. The Associated Press reported that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis got arrested at his Las Vegas home. Initially, the charges were unclear. However, District Attorney Steve Wolfson of Clark County later stated in a press conference that Keefe D. is facing charges for murder with a deadly weapon and other crimes related to gang activities. He mentioned that a grand jury had collected evidence for months and had enough to convict him. A few months before his arrest, the Las Vegas police searched his wife's home and found multiple computers, a cell phone, storage devices, a magazine covered by Tupac, ammunition, and 2 containers filled with photographs. They also discovered his memoir titled Compton Street Legend. Keefe D. had talked openly over the years about his involvement in Tupac's murder, possibly thinking he wouldn't be arrested for it. He had signed a proffer agreement with the police. A proffer is like a deal in criminal cases. When someone, like a defendant or a witness, talks to the prosecutors or police, they can share information in exchange for benefits, such as reduced punishments or legal protection. For instance, in Keefe D's case, he had a secret meeting with the LAPD and told them about Tupac Shakur's death. In return, he got benefits, like avoiding prosecution or facing less severe legal consequences. In 2018, he talked about the incident on a BT show. He admitted to being in the front seat during the shooting and mentioned his nephew Anderson was in the back seat. However, he didn't reveal the shooter's name. He said he was following the unwritten rules of the streets. He forgot to follow this code when he signed a proffer with the authorities and told them his cousin Orlando Anderson was the shooter. In his memoir, Keefe D. revealed that almost 10 years earlier, he had told the police about the events surrounding Tupac Shakur's murder. They were looking into whether Tupac's killing was related to the drive-by shooting of his rival, Biggie Smalls. Keefe explained that law enforcement made a deal with him. If he cooperated and shared what he knew about Tupac's shooting, they would drop the charges against him, stop the grand jury process, and cancel his indictment. At the time, Keefe was facing charges related to alleged murders and criminal activities, so he accepted the deal and shared the information. In his book, he suggested that Tupac's murder was a form of revenge for Tupac's involvement in an attack on Orlando Anderson, who was Keefe's nephew. I stand firm on the point that Tupac, Suge Knight, and the rest of those niggas didn't have any business putting their hands on my beloved nephew Baby Lane. Period. Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their ass. Tupac chose the wrong game to play and the wrong niggas to play with. Suge and them should have done a better job of protecting that dude because they knew who the fuck we were and the kind of shit we were capable of. Tupac may not have known, but Suge and his peeps definitely knew. Tupac was a guppy that got swallowed up by some ferocious sharks. He shouldn't have ever got involved in that bullshit of trying to be a thug. Many wondered why Keefe D was not arrested earlier, despite openly admitting his involvement in the murder multiple times. Retired LAPD Detective Greg Kading explained that the Las Vegas Police Department deliberately delayed his arrest. They did this because Keefe D openly discussed his role in interviews and even wrote about it in his book. This delay was part of their plan to gather more evidence and build a strong case against him. He said, perhaps what they were doing was saying, he's already tied the noose now. Let's let him hang himself. You didn't just say it twice. You didn't just say it 5 times. And so now you've got this compilation of so many confessions. The perception is that it's going to be hard for him at this point to say, hey, I was just kind of boasting, making stuff up. Tupac's sister Sekiwa also weighed in on the arrest. She said, this is no doubt a pivotal moment. The silence of the past 27 years surrounding this case has spoken loudly in our community. It's important to me that the world, the country, the justice system, and our people acknowledge the gravity of the passing of this man, my brother, my mother's son, my father's son. His life and death matters and should not go unsolved or unrecognized. So yes, today is a victory, but I will reserve judgment until all the facts and legal proceedings are complete. There have been multiple hands involved, and there remains so much surrounding the life and death of my brother Tupac and our Shakur family overall. We are seeking real justice on all fronts. Let's delve into the story of a man who somehow avoided getting arrested until now. According to the police, Keefe D, while leading the Southside Compton Crips gang, was involved in planning Tupac's murder. In his 2019 book, Compton Street Legend, he admitted to a life of crime and his rise within California's infamous gang world. He also disclosed his control over a multi-million-dollar illegal drug operation that operated nationwide. Keefe D originally came from Watts, California, but his family later relocated to Compton, a neighborhood primarily inhabited by middle-class black families. families. In his memoir, he shared an event that prompted his family's move. He mentioned that his father and uncle had bet on horse races in Tijuana, Mexico, and won $50,000, which would be nearly equivalent to $1 million today. His parents used the money to buy a house and 2 cars in Compton in 1965. At that time, they were the only black family in the neighborhood. Over time, more white families left, and Compton transformed into a middle-class, family-oriented area for black families. Keefe D came from a large family with 12 siblings, which had a significant impact on his upbringing. When he was 15, he lost his mother to colon cancer. Curiously, he also battled colon cancer in 2014, but is now in remission. Sadly, he lost 2 brothers, one to cancer like his mother, and the other to gun violence in Compton. During the 1970s, he was drawn into the Crips gang due to peer pressure. He wasn't interested in college and sought quick money through illegal drugs. He also spent time in prison from 1985 to 1989. Instead of reforming, he claims he became an even more dangerous gang member during his incarceration. After being arrested, Keefe D postponed his arraignment for the second time, as reported by ABC News. When he showed up in Clark County Court on October 19, 2023, it was unclear whether he had a lawyer to represent him. In court, Keefe D, wearing a blue jumpsuit and shackles, stood up for the proceedings, but they concluded swiftly, as observed by those in attendance. The potential lawyer, who is over 60 years old, expressed doubts about officially taking on the case. They requested an additional 2 weeks to decide. Keefe D is in court for the second time without a confirmed lawyer. Back in October, he asked for more time because his attorney couldn't make it. The next court date is on November 2nd, 2023. The district attorney, Steve Wolfson, stressed the importance of a speedy trial, saying they need to make progress in the case. On the same day, we found out that Keefe D hired Ross Goodman, a well-known lawyer from Las Vegas and the son of Mayor Carolyn Goodman, to represent him in the upcoming court hearing. It's not clear if Ross Goodman will actually represent Keefe D in the legal proceedings. In an interview with the U.S. Sun, Ross Goodman mentioned that he's uncertain about taking on Keefe D's case, but understands that Keefe D is eager to prove his innocence. Even though he hasn't fully examined the case yet, Mr. Goodman shared some defense ideas. He pointed out that there's no evidence of weapons or vehicles being used, and there aren't many reliable witnesses. While we wait for the next hearing, let's look at others involved in Tupac's death. Orlando Anderson. 4 people were in the car that shot Tupac. Orlando Anderson, his uncle, Keefe D, Big Dre, and Bubble Up. Orlando Anderson passed away 2 years after Tupac's murder. Big Dre died in 2004 due to health issues. In 2015, Terrence Bubble Up Brown, who was driving the car on that fateful night, died in a medical marijuana store in Compton. On the night of Tupac's murder, many people suspected Orlando might be the person who pulled the trigger, and some facts from his background shed light on why. Orlando Tive Anderson was born on August 13th, 1974 in Compton, California. He grew up in a black family, cared for by his grandparents after his parents separated. His mother worked as a bookkeeper to provide for him and his siblings. Orlando began his education at Taft High School, where he excelled, earning top grades. He completed his final year at Dominguez High School and obtained his diploma. In July 1996, Anderson got into a heated argument at Lakewood Mall. He and his group confronted Trayvon Lane, a member of Death Row Records, and took Lane's valuable Death Row medallion. Rumors were swirling that a rival gang, the Compton Crips, had offered a reward for these valuable medallions. Anderson made the Death Row crew, including Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, very mad. Do you recall the severe beating Anderson endured after the Bruce Seldon versus Mike Tyson fight at the MGM on September 7th, 1996? He got beaten up because he was accused of stealing the Death Row medallion from Trayvon Lane. Lane recognized Anderson and told Tupac and other Death Row members that he was the one who stole the medallion. Anderson was outnumbered, and he got a brutal beating. He tried to protect his face during the attack. This all happened just hours before the tragic shooting of Tupac Shakur. In the same month, Lieutenant Larry Spinoza, a senior officer in the Las Vegas Homicide Department, told the media that Orlando Anderson was not considered a suspect in Tupac's murder. The reason Anderson came under suspicion was because he had reportedly boasted about his involvement in Tupac's killing. However, in an interview with Vibe magazine, he denied any knowledge of the incident. After Tupac was shot, Anderson and 21 other gang members were arrested in Compton, California. Surprisingly, he was not charged in connection with Tupac's shooting. The Compton police clarified that their investigation primarily focused on local shootings, not the one that resulted in Tupac's death. Even the Las Vegas police did not believe Anderson was involved. Regrettably, the Las Vegas police did not thoroughly investigate a member of Tupac's group who witnessed the shooting and might have known the assailants. Sadly, this witness, Yaki Gaddafi, was killed just 2 months later. The police also failed to interview another witness who saw a white Cadillac, the same type of car used in the shooting, assisting the individuals responsible in getting away. The authorities were blamed for their mistakes in handling the situation. Many people still do so. That's probably why, when Keefe D was arrested, Las Vegas Sheriff Kevin McMahill stressed the importance of solving Tupac Shakur's murder case for their police department.
Well, I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department, I'm here to tell you that was simply not the case. It was not the case back then, and it is not the case today.
Shortly after Tupac was shot, a violent gang war erupted in Compton involving the Bloods and the Crips. A close friend of Orlando Anderson, who was associated with him, got shot in the legs with an AK-47, leaving him in a wheelchair for a long time. Despite a lack of strong evidence, Orlando Anderson remained a suspect in Tupac's shooting and lived in constant fear for his life. He was jobless but started a record label called Success Records in a Compton garage, using money from a lawsuit involving Death Row Records to fund it. In 2000, Afeni Shakur sued Anderson, blaming him for Tupac's death. Interestingly, Anderson had sued Suge Knight, the head of Death Row Records, and others related to the label and Tupac's estate before. He was seeking compensation for injuries and emotional distress from a fight at the MGM Grand. Before Anderson passed away, both parties agreed to a settlement, and Anderson reportedly received about $78,000. In 2011, a former LAPD detective named Greg Kading wrote a book. In the book, he claimed that Sean Diddy Combs paid $1 million to Anderson's uncle Keefe D to kill Tupac and Suge Knight. Kading and Davis also said that Anderson was in the car that approached Tupac's car during the shooting. They had a recorded conversation where Keefe D said Anderson was the one who fired the shots that killed Tupac. People believed this story easily because Anderson had already passed away at the time. On the night of the shooting, 4 men in a white Cadillac pulled up next to the BMW carrying Knight and Tupac. Witnesses confirmed that one of the men in the back seat of the Cadillac, Anderson, intended to kill Tupac. In 2002, journalist Chuck Phillips wrote an article in the Los Angeles Times titled "Who Killed Tupac Shakur?" suggesting that the Southside Crips were seeking revenge for a previous attack on Anderson, who was believed to be the one who shot Tupac. However, Anderson's own life had a tragic end on May 29, 1998, when he was shot in the chest during a gang-related fight in Compton, unrelated to Tupac's case. This fight resulted from a dispute over a drug trade with a rival gang. On that day, Anderson and his friend, Michael Reed Dorough, had a confrontation with 2 members of the Corner Pocket Gang, Michael Stone and Jerry Stone, near a car wash. The argument escalated into a deadly shootout, leading to the deaths of Anderson and both Jerry and Michael Stone. Michael Reed Dorough managed to escape, but later faced charges for all 3 homicides and was arrested. After Anderson's death, some people believe that Tupac was murdered because of his connection to the Blood Gang. RBX echoed this sentiment in an interview with The Art of Dialogue. He discussed Tupac's ties to Death Row Records and Suge Knight, and suggested that maybe Tupac didn't fully understand the serious consequences of joining a gang in Los Angeles. It wasn't just about rap battles and music. There were strict rules he couldn't simply ignore. During the time, the Bloods and Crips were like 2 opposing forces, and the theory was that Tupac's death might have been a message from the Crips. Diddy. Keefe D said that Sean Diddy Combs asked him to kill Tupac and Suge. Diddy denied it, saying it was not true. Keefe D argued that Diddy and Suge feud started in 1995 when Suge insulted Diddy at the Source Awards. At first, Diddy only wanted Keefe D to go after Suge, but he got upset with Tupac because Tupac's diss track Hit 'Em Up targeted Biggie and the whole East Coast. Diddy and Keefe D talked at a deli, where Keefe D asked for $1 million to harm Tupac and Knight. He promised to take care of them. Tupac was killed, but the gang members didn't get all their money. Mob James, who worked with Death Row Records, agrees with Keefe. He says Diddy was scared of Suge Knight, and the feud between the record labels was a big problem waiting to explode. In an interview with YouTuber Vlad TV, Keefe D made a more specific claim, saying Diddy paid $1 million to someone named Zip for Tupac's murder. However, Zip took the money and vanished. Some people have also pointed out a song from 1999, Muscle Game, where Diddy said, "You see, in this game, only the strong will survive and the weak shall pass. See, a lot of cats think with they brawn, not with they brain, huh? Come on, man. With me. I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, bitch. Come on. Now that's muscle. Now that we know that people will keep talking about his supposed role in the murder, let's talk about the man himself. In the late 1980s, Diddy started college at Howard University in Washington, D.C., studying business administration. But he realized his true passion was party planning and marketing. While at Howard, he showed his talent for organizing campus parties. The big turning point in his life came when he interned at Uptown Records under the guidance of Andre Harrell, the company's founder. Here, he delved into the music industry, learning everything about it and honing his skills as a producer and talent scout. In 1991, his hard work paid off, and he became the A&R director at Uptown Records. In this role, he discovered and supported rising stars like Mary J. Blige and Jodeci. His knack for spotting talent and his keen ear set him apart from others. But he had even bigger dreams. So in 1993, he took a brave step and left Uptown Records to start his own company, Bad Boy Entertainment. This move was fueled by his determination and belief in his abilities. Under Bad Boy boy, he quickly made a name for himself. He signed a young Biggie Smalls, who became a major figure in hip-hop. Their collaboration catapulted them to stardom and firmly established Bad Boy Entertainment in the rap industry. Diddy's ambitions extended beyond music. He ventured into fashion, creating the Sean John clothing line in 1998. This brand blended urban style with luxury fashion and became popular worldwide. Diddy received acclaim and became a fashion icon. By the late 1990s, he had made a significant impact in music and fashion, rising to the top of popular culture through his hard work, talent, and determination. What people didn't know at the time was that even greater things lay ahead for Sean Puff Daddy Combs and his rap empire. As the new millennium began, Diddy's rap empire was about to soar. In 2000, he released his debut solo album, Forever, marking a turning point in his career. The album showcased Diddy's talent for creating catchy music with meaningful lyrics that resonated with people worldwide. What really made Diddy a huge success was his song, I'll Be Missing You, a touching tribute to his friend Biggie Smalls. The song was a massive hit, reaching #1 in many countries, winning Diddy a Grammy Award, and solidifying his place in the music industry. Diddy's talent for collaborating with big names in the music business also played a huge role in his success. He was great at bringing together artists from different music styles and creating hit songs. One notable example was his collaboration with Usher, resulting in the hit I Need a Girl. His partnership with Jennifer Lopez was another major highlight. Their electrifying chemistry led to chart-topping songs like If You Had My Love and I'm Real. Their connection went beyond music, making them one of the most famous celebrity couples. Diddy not only worked on music but also played a key role in guiding Jennifer Lopez's career, helping her transition from an actress to a global pop star. During his successful phase, Diddy expanded his business by creating a reality TV show called Making the Band, where he mentored aspiring musicians. In 2004, he gained attention again with his album Press Play, which featured collaborations with stars like Christina Aguilera, Mary J. Blige, and Jamie Foxx. However, with success came problems. Diddy's flashy lifestyle and behavior attracted media attention. He faced legal issues and criticism for his extravagant spending and alleged involvement in conflicts. One significant issue was a nightclub shooting in 1999. In a New York City club, there was a fight and gunfire, which injured several people. Diddy and his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, were arrested and accused of involvement. Their trial received a lot of attention and could have harmed Diddy's reputation, but he was found not guilty of all charges. Diddy also faced a challenge when he lost important artists from his Bad Boy record label. As the rap industry changed, artists looked for new opportunities and creative freedom elsewhere, leading to the departure of notable acts like Biggie, Mace, and Lil' Kim. In 2011, he faced a lawsuit from a former employee who claimed unfair termination and unpaid wages. They eventually reached an agreement, and he continued to expand his business ventures. Despite facing controversies and challenges, Diddy's successes continued to overshadow the setbacks. In 2016, he released a highly praised album, No Way Out 2, which showed his artistic growth and ability to adapt to the ever-changing music industry. He's also notable for his philanthropic work, supporting education programs and organizations that empower underprivileged communities. The rumors and allegations surrounding his involvement in Tupac's murder remain uncertain. We'll have to wait and see if there will be more to Diddy's already eventful life story. Biggie Smalls. In 2002, a journalist named Chuck Phillips wrote an article in the Los Angeles Times titled, Who Killed Tupac Shakur? This article looked into the circumstances surrounding Tupac's death. The article suggested that East Coast rappers, including Tupac's rival Biggie Smalls, and some shady individuals from New York City might have been connected to the incident. However, Biggie Smalls consistently denied any involvement and had a strong alibi. He had witnesses, like his manager and fellow rapper Lil Cease, who confirmed they were together in a New York recording studio on the night of Tupac's death. Despite this solid alibi, some people still had doubts and speculated that Biggie might have paid someone to harm Tupac. As a result, they said his actions and whereabouts that night did not matter. It's easy to understand why these accusations exist. Let's look at what happened before the incident. In 1994, before Tupac got shot, he was really close to Biggie Smalls, and they even performed together on stage. Both of them were known for their clever lyrics, but when they weren't performing, they had different personalities. Even though Biggie was a bit shy, he used his music to share his feelings and talk about tough stuff in his life. This honesty is what made him a great artist. Biggie and Tupac were good friends who had a lot in common. They talked a lot and learned from each other. This helped them become successful in the music industry and added depth to their public image. Tupac didn't formally teach Biggie, but when you spend time with someone experienced, you naturally learn from them. Biggie picked up things from Tupac and could ask him questions when he needed help. As a young rapper with limited experience, Biggie naturally looked up to Tupac, who was already a highly respected artist with a platinum album. The difference in experience between them was significant at the time. Tupac and Biggie were more than just friends during those years. They were like brothers. They shared a deep passion for music and had a strong connection. Tupac even formed a bond with Biggie's family and frequently talked to his mother. Tupac would visit Brooklyn to hang out with Biggie, Lil Cease, and Lil Kim, spending time together on the streets enjoying each other's company. Some people who had the first-class knowledge of their friendship said Biggie once thought about changing his manager and wanted Tupac to be his manager, combining their personal and professional ties. Tupac, recognizing Biggie's talent, advised him to stick with Diddy's management, believing he'd achieve stardom. On September 13, 1994, an important event occurred in history. President Clinton signed the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, a significant law that changed how the U.S. dealt with crime. On the same day, Biggie Smalls released his first album, Ready to Die. While these two events happening together were a coincidence, some people find it lucky and interesting, like a happy accident. They believe Biggie's album was a strong response to the challenging crime bill. The book, It Was All a Dream, Biggie and the World That Made Him, written by Justin Tinsley, explores Biggie's life and impact. The book looks at Ready to Die as a story of a young black man growing up in Brooklyn, portraying the difficulties of life in neighborhoods like that. In his early years, Biggie faced financial struggles and resorted to selling drugs on street corners. He developed his lyrical skills during long car rides between New York and the Carolinas for these activities. Tinsley emphasizes that anyone who heard Biggie recognized his exceptional talent. Biggie was an incredible rapper, known for his outstanding lyrics, storytelling, and how he delivered his music. Tinsley believes that making music was Biggie's true purpose in life. His first album, Ready to Die, came out when he was only 22, but sadly it was the only album he released while he was alive. Now, regarding his relationship with Tupac, at first they were friends, but outside pressures caused problems. Biggie's album became a huge success, making him a rap superstar. This success coincided with the East Coast versus West Coast rivalry, and it created tension between Tupac and Biggie, straining their friendship. On November 30th, 1994, Tupac was supposed to collaborate with East Coast artists Little Sean and Booker on a music project, and they promised to pay him $7,000 for his part in their album. While Pac and his group were together, they got attacked by masked people who shot him 5 times all over his body, even in the head. It's almost like a miracle that he survived and escaped using an elevator. He ended up on a floor where Biggie and Diddy were having a party. Tupac blamed Biggie and Diddy for this attack, and it ended their friendship. Around the same time, Biggie had a serious car accident that left him with a broken leg and the need for a cane for the rest of his life. Less than a day after the 1994 shooting incident, Tupac Shakur went to court for sexual assault charges while in a wheelchair. He was sentenced to prison for over a year. While he was in prison, Who Shot Ya was released by Biggie, and it became popular. Tupac took offense to this song, believing it was directed at him. However, Biggie insisted that he had written the lyrics long before the shooting and that they weren't about anyone in particular. The next year, Tupac released a diss track called Hit 'Em Up, in which he directly attacked Biggie and claimed to have had a sexual relationship with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans. This feud continued until the day Tupac was killed. Tupac's death deeply affected Biggie. The author of Biggie's 2022 biography, Tinsley, revealed that someone close to Biggie confided in him about how much Tupac's death hurt Biggie emotionally. Tinsley also said that Biggie always wished for a chance to make things right with Tupac. Biggie had a fear that if someone like Tupac, who seemed invincible, could lose his life, then he too might not be safe. Sadly, Biggie's life would also be cut short 6 months later. On March 8, 1997, there was a gathering after the Soul Train Awards at the Peterson Automotive Museum. Many people, including famous artists like Aaliyah and Faith Evans, as well as members of rival gangs Crips and Bloods, were there. Because it got too crowded and violated fire safety rules, the event ended early. Around 12:30 a.m., Biggie, along with his friends, left in 2 GMC Suburban vehicles to go back to their hotel. He was in the front passenger seat with Lil Cease and Damian D-Rock Butler, and G-Money was driving. Diddy, on the other hand, stayed in a different vehicle with his bodyguards. They were followed by a Chevrolet Blazer driven by Paul Alford, the head of Bad Boys Security. At around 1 a.m., a dark Chevy pulled up next to Biggie's SUV. The driver of the Chevy rolled down the window and fired shots into Biggie's car, hitting it 4 times. He got shot, and his friends took him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Sadly, he died a little after 1:15 a.m. When we discuss Tupac and Biggie, we often forget how young they were. They were only 24 and 25 years old when all the drama unfolded. Their influence goes beyond just hip-hop. It's a part of our culture. Their stories are like modern legends that resonate with people of all ages. But it's crucial to remember they were just 25 when they died.